Are you going through a change or a transition and you feel afraid or fear? Then this episode is for you.
You're listening to the Dynamic Women podcast. Each week, you'll be inspired by our global community of women. They'll share with you tools and stories to help you be dynamic in every area of life. Here's your host, award-winning coach, and the CEO and founder of Dynamic Women, Diane Rolston.
Hello, lovely Dynamic Women, and welcome to the Dynamic Women podcast. I'm Diane Rolston, your host, and we have Paula Kent here today. Hi, Paula.
Hello.
Oh, I'm so excited to have you here. I've been able to follow your journey, be alongside you in this, and to talk finally about your book, Heroic Choices, just brings me so much joy.
Me too. Thank you, Diane.
Yeah. So for those listening, I will share a little bit more about Paula so that you understand like what the big deal is about. And we're going to jump into today a little bit more about how to break through the fear of change. So Paula Kent is a researcher, writer, and lifelong learner fueled by endless curiosity. At the age of 53, Paula discovered her passion for research and writing after leaving the relatively conventional career in retail banking and leapt blindly into the world of academia. Working on her Master's of Arts degree at Royal Roads University in Victoria, BC, saw her graduate research project nominated for the 2020 Governor General's Gold Medal Award. It's amazing. Her educational experience sparked her desire to breathe life into abstract academic theories. And moreover, her curiosity about storytelling, travel, and transformational events, enriching and influencing our lives, inspired her to study further. Paula's work has been featured in 2 published books, and now with Heroic Choices, this is her first book. So Paula, first, actually, I just want to say, first of all, for the women out there that are saying like, I can't make a change in my life. I'm in my 50s or I'm in my late 40s or I'm in my 60s. Like you've really busted that false truth, haven't you?
Oh, absolutely, Diane. Absolutely. And I was one of those individuals. I had this career and it was 27 years and I was this way. And you just, you one decision away from a new life, and you really are. I truly believe that, and that life just builds and builds. So yeah.
And this was actually part of the piece that sparked you writing this book and going on this journey. And if you haven't read Heroic Choices, people, come on, you got to go get your copy. I've been loving it, and the thing that I love about Paula, about you as a writer, is you're just so good at using words. Like it's kind of like when you have a meal that's just like a big bowl of pasta sort of meal, you're just like devour it and it's gone. But I feel like with your writing, it's so rich that I'm taking my time going through it, like piece by piece. And I noticed that you've talked really about personal growth in the beginning of the book as a continuous cycle. And when you do get your copy of the book, you're going to be able to see these different models that Paula refers to. And so this continuous cycle, which starts and ends at the exact same stage, the here and the now. So how does that work?
Yeah, well, and it is true. It is a cycle. I really believe that. And if we sort of look back where we always are, we're always in the here and now. And so as you step forward and you start thinking about change, or perhaps you're getting a signal something has to change, you have to make a choice, a choice. And as you step forward onto that path, your here and now is changing. And as you go through this cycle, you go around, but as you go through the different phases, and it's all in the book, the different chapters, each representing the phase that you go through, they build upon each other. And you come back through, and you can't continuously change. At some point, you reach a plateau, and you know what? You're back in the here and now. And you're back in a different place. And that's your next leaping off point for your next change. And so writing the book was my second cycle from the here and now. The first was when I made that choice to leave work and go into do my master's at Royal Roads.
Yeah, what I really like about that is that it doesn't force you to go from like 0 to perfect in your first time through. And that's what I notice a lot of times in coaching clients, is that they expect everything to be as it must be, that kind of first time in setting every goal, it has to be the best. And it sounds like this really gives people permission to just continuously cycle through and be a little bit closer and a little bit better every single time.
Absolutely, because you can't constantly change. You need those moments to rest. You need those moments. And I think it introduces this idea of plateauing. And that's a rest point to get you ready for that next leap, because you can't run, forever. You've got to take those breaks, and we need our sleep, we need our rest, we need those moments. But it also explains, as we go through the cycles, the importance of those moments of rest. They're not inactive. That's when you start to turn yourself inward.
Yeah.
To really assess where you're at and what you've been through. Yeah.
And you mentioned that there is a difference between reflection and remembering. How is that?
Yeah. So remembering, it's wonderful. We remember our past, our memories, we laugh, we joke, perhaps we shed some tears on some sad memories, but reflection is action. It's thoughtfulness. It's thinking about what have we gone through. So it's not simply just, oh, I went to school, or I did this, or I went on a trip. It's this active thought process where you go back into the memory and you start to take little pieces out. What was the significance of that? What was the most meaningful piece I can take from that? And that's the plateau, that's the rest. And then that's where you're going to gather your insight from. And as you start to follow insight, you then sort of bring that insight into your life. And it can happen quickly. We've all had those moments of dramatic change where things click into place, but often it's the slow, thoughtful process. And that makes the most meaning. And you know what? One rainstorm doesn't grow a crop of corn, right? So it's that over time piece as we reflect and internalize what we've gone through and the meaning it brings into our life.
Yeah. And that's so true. The one storm doesn't bring the corn. I really like that term. That just reminds us that, again, our journeys will be a little bit messy. And actually, one thing we haven't even talked about yet, and I think I need to throw this in, is the title, Heroic Choices. Like, where did that come from? I almost want to call it like heroic journey or something.
Yeah.
So why heroic choices?
Yeah. And interestingly enough, and I started with this idea of its journey and that big and bold, but our journeys are made up of our choices. And when we are going through change, it is our choice. It is our choice to move forward to that next step, to think about, internalize. And that's where it is. It's these small moments when we choose ourselves. That when we choose to be that hero in our own lives, or heroine, whatever you want to call it. But it is a heroic choice to put ourselves first and to place ourselves first. And I wrote this book with from my own perspective as a female, and I gathered the perspectives of other females in the book. So, but it goes beyond gender. It goes beyond gender. We are the only ones living our life. It is our life. And that's where the choice comes in, to take those steps forward, to look at fear. And you cry, or you get upset, or you get frustrated, but then you make that choice to step forward again.
Yeah. So really the how to break through the fear of change is to make the choice, and not just a choice, but the heroic choice.
The heroic choice. Yeah. To face your fear head on. And I talk a lot about fear in the book, because as I went through my own, the first cycle, there were so many times where I thought, I can't, I don't even know what I'm being asked to do, and tears were shed. Absolutely.
Yeah. Now you do state in the book that that every stage propels you forward.
Right.
Why is that important? Why do we have to go through each of these stages like sequentially? Why can't we just jump stages?
Yeah.
Like that'd be so much easier.
It would be so much easier, but it's the same as learning to walk. We do need to ground ourselves. And, when you think about a baby learning to walk in that toddly Frankenstein stiff moment, but they can't go from standing on their feet to running. It's a skill. And as we go through our lives and makes our choices and change, deeply, deeply change inside, you can't skip a stage. You have to experience reflection and insight. You have to, because then if you skip over that, you're going to slide back. If you're climbing a mountain, you need the right equipment, and it's step by step by step. And some places, I think you do start to accelerate and go a little bit faster.
Yeah.
And other stages, a little bit slower. It's going to be different for every single person. But
yeah. And also with the baby, it actually all starts with training the core and the neck muscles in tummy time.
That's right.
And it's not that the baby is sitting there going, I must do this stage so I can go run.
Yeah, no.
I guess it's the same for us, is we maybe don't understand why we're doing a certain step or stage, or maybe stuck in a certain area, and we don't necessarily know what we need to learn. And that's why you were saying the reflection, looking back, we're going to be able to see what was the purpose of that piece for us.
Yeah. And I mean, it is definitely much more purposeful than the baby, and I think the big piece on this, and I spend a lot of time, is fear. Because in my research, fear stops me. Fear holds me back. Fear makes me quit. But fear is what we need. And we need that courage, because you can get beyond it. You can get beyond it. And that is what then leaps you forward. Once you're on that other side of fear. And that's why fear is important. I don't want to diminish it, but it's a test of your resolve. It's a test of your resolve.
Yeah, but when we change, no one really wants to go through the hard parts. But you said there's a stage where we enter, and it's where we face the darkness.
Yeah.
Like that sounds really crappy. I don't want to face the darkness.
I know.
So what do you mean in that stage where we have a fear to lose ourselves?
Yeah. I just, as we face the darkness, we're scared. We're fear of failure. We're in this place where we're really uncomfortable. But to lose ourselves, loss is a really powerful negative. And if you think of a bowl of cherries, and that's all cherries are beautiful and positive, but put one cockroach in that bowl of cherries, you're not going to eat a cherry, right?
No.
And now if you think about that cockroach is the negativity. It only takes a little bit of negativity to dismiss so much positivity. So as we work through that, and we're facing the darkness, we are afraid. We can't picture what we're going to gain, because we know what we're feeling right now. I can't picture being anything other than what I'm feeling right now. And for myself, in writing the book, I would write my thoughts, and I was afraid that I would not be well received. But I had to push through that, because this is a fundamental belief I have, and I wanted to share that. And as I've come through this experience and put that fear behind me, the gains, I couldn't imagine them. What I want to leave the listeners with is that pushing through, there are positive gains that you cannot even imagine, that you must be assured of. And what you're feeling is momentary, or perhaps it's 6 months. But through reflection and steady progress, and you face the fear, you're bringing those fears with you. You can beat them back, and that's why I use parts of it with stories. We all understand the Luke Skywalker in the dark cave, and that what he feared he brought with him. And,
Mm-hmm.
that he would turn into Darth Vader again. Kind of that Star Wars analogy there. But
Yeah.
that's what we do. And that's how we fear losing ourselves, because that's what we know. But what we don't know is what awaits.
Yeah. And it can be even, or it will be even better than we ever imagined.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It will be a positive moment of learning awaits.
Now you do mention stories, and in the book you have fictional stories, you have myths, you have fairy tales in each chapter, which is awesome. But why bother including these examples?
Yeah, I have a belief, and I read this long ago. I mean, I'm a reader. I love stories, and I love the classic fairy tales and all of those things. But we are narrative beings, and if we go back to our ancient ancestors, we'd sit around and a fire and tell stories. That's how we learned. And that is so deeply ingrained in humanity, that we learn through stories. We learn and understand our own place in the world. And that's one of the theories that I bring in is the journey of a hero. And that is where the stories tie in, and what we can learn from each story, we can make our own personal meaning from, and understand, okay, yeah, this is something that I've heard about, I've seen it, I've watched it, whether it's Bilbo Baggins running out the door on having an adventure. Those are moments that we can relate to. And that is why I brought them in. They're relatable learning moments in our own lives, in our own stories.
Yeah.
As we write the story of our life.
Yeah. So I like that you come at it from an experience point of view, of your own experience and what you went through, plus that you've learned from others by doing your research, and then bringing in the storytelling, but then also using some other very well-known models like Joseph Campbell's model of the hero to be able to really flush this out in a rich way. And so listeners, I really wanted to just, for any of you that are in business, or any of you that are thinking of writing a book, to come at some piece of learning from multiple angles really is going to help your listeners, your readers, your students, your attendees, whatever it is, to grasp the knowledge and to see the implementation a lot quicker by being able to come at it from all these different angles. And so think about how you can do that yourself in different areas of your life and your business. Even just you're going to a PAC meeting and you want to explain something, try to use stories and try to use examples and use other people's experiences to really deepen the amount of knowledge they'll be able to receive, but also in the depth of the solid foundation of fact that really you're putting behind it. And so I appreciate, Paula, that you did that with your book.
This episode is brought to you by Million Dollar Woman, the online program. It is about increasing your success, money, and happiness by mastering your inner and outer wealth. Now, what are the benefits of this program? Well, it's going to help to show you how to have more money, how to make more profit, how to keep more money, how to feel confident with your pricing, how to have a money plan, how to negotiate your higher worth, how to be paid more, how to be paid in more ways, and so many more benefits, like being able to make money with no money. It is a 2-day online program where you're going to be able to take yourself from your current state to really get to some golden results. This is good for all kinds of business owners and leaders in any industry or career, as you can apply the tangible tactics that I teach you. For this and all the benefits, including being in the Trailblazer Secrets collaborative book with dynamic women, is just $9.97. Click through the link in the show notes or type in www.dynamicwomen.biz/MDW for Million Dollar Woman to see all of the bonuses that you get with this program for just $9.97. Join now to be part of an amazing group of women who are increasing their inner and outer wealth.
Now, honesty. You mentioned honesty as being important, self-reflection. And I know in my work, not every time are people honest with themselves, but you say that it's really important in self-reflection, in developing self-awareness. Can you expand on that some more?
Yeah, absolutely. Honesty, sometimes we don't want to face our own piece of it. And as experiences have happened, we don't always shine. I'm sorry. Sometimes, we make mistakes. And the wonderful thing about failure or making mistakes is that we can look at them and tease them apart. What was my piece? What was circumstantial? But the key point is to be honest. And when I left my employment of 27 years, there were two big events that occurred that really were signaling to me, you're done. And I had to go back because I felt lost. But I had to, and maybe that was even part of writing the book, was to really go back and be honest. What was my piece of that? And facing those, that dark truth. And I don't want to always say darkness is bad, because there's beautiful moments in the dark. We can, tender moments in darkness, and possibility and potential lays there. But we have to also look at that piece in the shadows and pull it out and be okay with it. Because if we're always in conflict with what is in our shadows, we can't fully immerse ourselves in our truth.
Yes.
Yeah. And our truth comes with, boy, you hurt that person's feelings when you said this. And then we all carry those forward. We all carry those forward, and once we can bring that forward and acknowledge it internally. And
if we are going to give it maybe a different name than dark truth, in coaching we have a term called the hard truth.
Yeah.
It's maybe difficult to hear and difficult to own. But if we are really looking at this space of how do we break through the fear of change, it's like if you can just look back at what was and grab the learning from it, then you can do better when you go for the next change.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
And this is what happens to heroes in stories. Every battle they have is not perfect.
No.
Right? Every swing of the sword is not perfect. Sports team, same thing. The outcome might be a win, but they could have been losing the whole game, and it just happened to be a final moment. The other team made a mistake and they capitalized on that. And so I also see a little bit of what you're sharing is, let's go through this cycle and let's take our time and let's go through it. But we're not being judged on how messy the cycle is and how messy the process is. It's how do you show up at the end?
Yeah, absolutely. The inner work is so important for the outer shine. I think I'm stealing that word shine from you, but it is so important, because as you come back out through that inner work, there's so much of it is inside of yourself, facing your own truth and being honest. If you're not being truthful to yourself, what's going to come out isn't going to be wholly executable, so to speak. You're going to slide. And as you come out, then the outer you moves forward back into your here and now, and you know what, you're ready to go again. Maybe not right away, but you're ready to go again and build upon the momentum of your life, the life of what is creating meaning for yourself. Now
in a moment I'm going to ask about one of your saboteurs. I'm also going to ask you about where you are in this cycle of transformation. But before that, I just want to give our listeners a chance. Like, how do people learn more about you? Where do they buy the book? This kind of info.
Yeah, absolutely. So you can definitely visit my website at www.paulakent.com. Learn more about myself. The sample chapter of the book is there. You can buy the book at indigo.ca, amazon.ca, and Friesen Press Bookstore. I am trying to get them into Indigos, but that's a little bit of a slower process. So
yeah, and Amazon.com as well for our
and Amazon.com story, yes, for our for the American readers and listeners. So for Canadians, Amazon.ca to get the book. So yeah, those are the places right now.
And so you just kind of like slipped that in, that you had a gift for everybody. Let me just like,
yes, sorry about
Dynamic Women. She just slipped it in because as much as Paula's gone on this hero journey, she's quite humble and doesn't always, raise her sword and show her accomplishments. But there is a gifted chapter. So I really encourage you, if you are wanting to know more about like, how do I go through transformation and change? How do I get through on the other side and feel better? And how do I, challenge this difficult time? Or if you're just like, it sounds cool, Paul sounds like a cool person, go read that first chapter. I tell you, you're going to be hooked in. And just like me, where I'm like devouring it, or enjoying it piece by piece, you're going to really want to go through the process in the book. So I mentioned the Saboteur, and I know that because we've had a coach-client relationship as well, and you've also done things like editing some of my books, and really using your skills and talents. And I know that ageism is something that you have felt, and in some programs other clients have spoken up and felt as well. So how is that a saboteur for you, and is that still?
Yeah, good question. And it's raised its ugly head a few times over the last few years. And if I look where I am today and I look back as, where did that bravery come to go do a master's at 53?
Yes.
Where did that come from? And, I only just am thankful that I had that within me too, that grain was planted, or whatever you want to call it. But it is. And this year I've worked really hard. So even writing the book and through that is really moving away from that saboteur and shutting her down, so to speak. And this year I've got a mantra to help me, which is I'm unique and ageless. And as I continuously grow personally and do new things like podcasts and promoting a book, I am able to really see that it isn't our age that is holding us back. It's our preconceived notions of what our age means to society. And that's something I'm really interested in. And, as I'm moving forward into that sort of new cycle, that's really a big piece of it, is the gendered ageism, the female ageism, why we throw it up in our faces and ourselves. We put it up. Oop, I'm too old for this. Oh my God. You're the age you are for this. You're the age you are. And that's just reality. So it's a work in progress. As most saboteurs, they battle back pretty strongly, right?
Yeah.
And it is something to continuously push away and shut her up.
Yeah. And I'm sure a lot of our listeners, I know a lot of my clients can really relate to that idea of like, I'm older than I was, and how am I perceived now, and I can't do as well because I am older. But if for anyone listening that's like, I don't care about that, I'm older and I'm awesome, or I'm young and I don't know what that experience is. Well, just substitute any other saboteur that you have. I'm not making enough money, so I'm not worthy. I am not pretty enough. I'm not skinny enough. Right. And whatever it is for you, that's the thing that can be holding you back. And that's the thing that also on this journey of reflection and going through is to really be honest about which of these is a false truth and which are holding you back. Yeah. So almost final question. Where are you right now in the cycle of inner transformation?
So I not quite back in the here and now. I'm still learning. I'm putting it out there, and I'm really wanting to take like promotion and all of this new stuff that's happening, podcasts and really work to that next step. I'm already anticipating not plateauing, so to speak, but integrating promotion within my life and writing within my life and another book within my life and those pieces of what are so important to me right now. But as I think I'm straddling. I'm straddling, yeah. I've built the belief, I'm moving forward and creeping back towards the here and now, which will be my next jumping off point.
Awesome. And so let's bring it back to our listeners who've been on this little journey that we've had today. What's your final message to them?
My final message, this book that I wrote was the book I wish I had had. And that was that when I put away all the other reasons for writing it, I needed a guide at that time in my life. And as I entered into university and I did my master's and all of that, there were so many times, and I spoke about it, and they were almost dead stop moments for me. And if I'd had a book like Heroic Choices, it's a small little, it's like a guidebook. I could be, where am I in this cycle? Okay, I'm moving forward. Would be able to then visualize that it was a cycle.
Yeah.
Because there were moments that I think, and we all experience it, this is never going to change. I'm always going to feel like this, and you won't. You won't. I guarantee it. You will go to that next step. And that's my sort of wish for my book, is that if someone can pick it up, see where they are, or say, oh, I've been holding off on change because I'm too afraid, and understand, oh, afraid, that's an important piece. and normal. And it's normal. Oh, and after afraid comes this. Or I'm in the test of resolve right now. That is what meaning I hope Heroic Choices holds for people, because that's the meaning it holds for me.
Yeah.
I'm going to reflect. I'm going to go back to it. I wrote it, but I'm going to go back to it. I know I will, because you get into what's happening in your life, and you kind of push away that knowledge that you have. So. Yeah.
Yes. Well, so many nuggets here, Paula. I just encourage everyone to go and grab the book, at least go and grab the gifted first chapter that you can. The links are going to be in the notes so that you can see everything and easily go through. And so I really appreciate you coming on here today, Paula, giving us your time, your expertise to be able to really help others to move through change and not be so afraid of it. Because we don't have to be afraid of it.
No.
We just need to know it's normal and just the next step and go to the next step. And that's all required. Just keep going, next step, next step. Doesn't have to be perfect. It will be messy, but you'll get out on the other side and you'll be better for it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just, your call to action is, be brave within your own life.
The reviews we've been getting really touch my heart, and it just makes it real that there are people out there listening to the Dynamic Women podcast. So thank you so much. And if you haven't yet, please jump on over, make sure you write your review so that I can hear it and I can read it on air. Here's our recent one from Jennifer Kenumwa. She says, "Thank you for sharing your stories and knowledge." Well, thank you, Jennifer. We really appreciate your awesome review, and check your mailbox. You're going to be receiving something from us in the mail.
We'll end on that. So if you have a guest that you think would be perfect for the show, let me know. Reach out, Diane at DianeRolston.com. And please drop a review or a comment to let us know what you thought of this episode and what your biggest takeaway was. Know that every other week I interview an amazing, successful, dynamic woman and bringing you her expertise and bringing you her experience so that you can put those into your life. So make sure you hit subscribe so you don't miss out on any of them. And then do you have a friend that needs to hear this message today? Make sure that you share this episode with them. So until next time, everyone, stay dynamic. Bye.
Thank you, Dynamic Women, for joining us today. Please hop on over to iTunes to subscribe and leave us a review. Who do you know who needs to hear our message? We'd love it if you'd share our channel with your friends and family. If you're ready to be more dynamic, have more balance and more success, head over to www.dynamicwomenclub.com/free gift for your Key to Success book. Stay dynamic.